What's up, everybody? Time for a health update video thing. 20 years ago. 20 years ago now, this picture. That's crazy. 20 years ago, I was dying. So let's do one of these health videos where I am now, right? And I guess you could say, geez, technically, I've actually, 20 years probably just sounds better for the title of the video, but technically, I've been on disability since 2003, actually. And even before then, I was still sick for quite a while, but it wasn't until 2003 when I knew something was, you know, wrong for sure. And been on disability since 2003 and, ended up doing all that radiation. And you can see I look fried as fuck. That was actually 2004 by that time, but Jesus Christ, that's crazy, right? It's actually scary, to look at it, right? And I look at an image like that, and I think of, it's crazy to think that I was still winning tournaments going around like that after radiation, and so sick, and I look fried out of my mind, right? And God, I feel old. I feel really old, right? And I mean, wow, dude, that's crazy, right? And then of course another big thing that happened to me in my life was in 2008. I was dying from C-diff for a while, and a lot of permanent side effects from that. Funny enough, I was just today actually. I was in public, and I started talking to a guy, and he said he was a caretaker or whatever it was, and we started talking about health stuff, and he's like, "You had C-diff?" And he was like, small world, he actually said that he used to take care of patients who had C. diff, right? Because it can be a very serious thing. You can die from it, right? So, you look at images like that, and I have like Chilblain's lupus really bad, not just, sometimes when you like look something up on the internet, you'll see like, oh God, there's this joke, like you'll look up, oh, what is this disease or what is this symptom, right? And when you look up Chilblain's lupus, I have like a very extreme form of it. Like I said, my doctors actually give me one of the off-brand prescription medicines they give you for it is stuff like Viagra or Cialis to keep your blood flowing because I heal so badly now, right? Um, and I mean, yeah, so I just like, sometimes you like look something up and they'll be like, oh man, dude, like, at least I'm not as bad as that guy. Like when I have bad flares, like at the hospital, like the doctors will bring in other people to just like look at it because I am that, you know, extreme, right? Like I can wake up blood on my, sheets, that kind of stuff. Then again, going to tournaments, it's crazy. People say that all this stuff was fake, yet, you know, it's scary to think that the way that the video game community has treated me, that I was, and I said I always used to wear those khakis because I would carry around garbage bags in my pocket, for when I would get sick, you know and I won a lot of tournaments really, really sick. And even after all of that, the community of course has painted me as this like terrible person. I would still go down and sit down with everybody and teach everybody how I was you know doing all these things. There's like another, I mean, look at that, dude. I'm just, can you imagine that 20 years old? Or not 20 years old, how was that, 20 years ago I should say. I don't know how old I was then. Fuck. Like look at that, dude. Like I just, but anyway, because there's gonna be some hater. There's just gonna be some hater. So I mean, there's my health record. People think it's fake, and a lot of not good stuff. And of course, I still have to, I still fight about it with my doctors all the time now, because it's a shitty situation where, the doctors don't want to admit that I developed all these autoimmune diseases after all the radiation and stuff like that. And, I've had permanent side effects, from many things, the C-diff. And, I definitely think there's certain things in my life that, they stick out to me as, big things, of course, right when I first, I say first got sick, but when I knew I was sick in 2003, for sure. And I was getting these really bad, what at the time they just said were severe migraines, which they have now gone on to say that are chronic migraines and cluster headaches, which some doctors say is the most painful condition known to man, and that was very scary, right? Because it's like you are going to die. Like someone can literally kill you. They're so painful. You just can't defend yourself. And, you know, or you don't know, but, um, then going to the doctor, finding I have this thyroid stuff, radiation for that. Oh, you'll be totally fine. And then as the years have gone on, developing more and more autoimmune diseases. And, then 2008 was a big, 2008 was a big, thing with the C diff, and doctors didn't take me seriously. I was like, my poop isn't good. You know what I mean? I'm like, something is really not good here. And I'd given them a poop sample, and they're just like, oh, you have diarrhea all the time anyway. And they waited till I basically couldn't move anymore. And my brother ended up taking me to the hospital. I basically couldn't walk anymore at that point. Couldn't eat. And they were like, oh, shit, you've actually been testing positive for C. diff this entire time. We weren't actually supposed to be letting you out of the hospital. You could die. And that was, not a good situation. But it definitely, hyped me to the fact that, I started looking at my medical record then. And I always think that, because when I had first got sick, again, I was already sick before, but when I knew something wrong was in 2003, I had never actually asked to look at my health record. I just assumed doctors, oh, you got to do radiation. Okay, I got to do radiation. I wasn't like my own doctor. I wasn't like looking at, oh, these are my thyroid levels, and I didn't know that I was having all these other bad tests as well, but, yeah, dying, that will really, and if you don't know what it's like to die, it's very painful. Dying is, you start to basically, it's so, this is why I have such little respect for people that, and I know, maybe everyone gets, depressed at certain points, but people that talk about killing themselves all the time, it's so what an extravagant luxury to be talking about killing yourself all the time. You have no idea what it's like to be in that much pain when your doctors are giving you your will. It's basically in so much pain that you will pass out from the pain, only to then wake up because your like brain is fucked, and you'll have a nightmare that wakes you up to more pain, like in and out of consciousness. It's extremely painful, and you start becoming delusional. Very, not a good situation whatsoever. And that's why I always say, again, what an extravagant luxury for people that talk about they're going to kill themselves all the time. Like, you have no idea how painful it is to die. It's not fun. It's very fucking painful. And just say the cluster headaches, some doctors say that's the most painful condition known to man. And, it was, after the C. diff, it was 6 months until I stopped collapsing just randomly. And it was a year before I could even work out. But, that situation, I definitely think, and even going out today, I guess I just randomly, that guy was talking to me. And he's actually a caretaker, or he was a caretaker. And we just started talking about health stuff just randomly. And, I say one of the things that gave me the strength to go on in life is, although, we look at some of those pictures of, what was that picture? I mean, of course, there, I see, where's that one picture? I see stuff like that, and stuff like that motivates me. And I feel, on some level, I've said this before, I don't know if I can totally blame myself, because no one expects to get sick like that when they're younger, right? And so, can I totally hate myself? Because part of myself feels like I let myself go. The fact that I got to that point, you know, that health wasn't my main focus. But on another hand, I still had this delusion that my doctors had my best interest at heart. And, during C-diff being given your will, things had just gone, things were going down so hell. Of course, when I first got sick and I was getting these, they're like, oh my God, trying to figure what this is, don't know if you have brain tumor, shit like that. Then, oh, we're going to radiate your thyroid, lots of stuff was going wrong, but I didn't realize how wrong things were going, right? So I never asked to actually see my health record to see all these autoimmune diseases that I was then testing positive for, right? But the C. diff, it made me actually look at my health record to hear that, oh, you've actually been testing positive for this the entire time. We weren't supposed to be letting you out of the hospital. you know and to see the evil that my doctors had done to me, and of course, just, I don't know, but it definitely motivated once I could start to do stuff. I started working out really seriously about a year later, and I still try to keep myself really healthy. And I think about images like this and not wanting to be like this. And, one of the things that gives me the strength to go on is, I think maybe when some people hear that they're going to die or they could die, is maybe they've had a good life before. And I've said before that I didn't have that good life. I didn't have happy memories to be like, oh, if I'm going to die, well, at least I had a happy memory. I even said before, I never had that moment of, a cliche thing like I'm going to call people and ask for forgiveness for something that I've done, because I'd never done anything wrong. I was never mean to anybody, so I never really had any regrets in life. And so, that kind of gave me strength to go on, because my life was already so terrible. There's no point of just dying, right? Like, what the fuck? For what? And also living my life for so long, getting out of a hospital. You see a lot of old people, and even that, sometimes, I'll be at the hospital and I'll see someone, they're hunched over. And even now, I feel like, I probably don't look as old as I am. I'm an old man now. You think that this picture is 20 years ago now, right? And some people might say that I look younger than I do there. Maybe I look more healthy, despite the fact that I'm still on disability. I just did the re-disability thing. I guess it would have been a few months ago now. I forget what it was now, but I'm still on disability to this day. We just looked at my health record, right? I know I just got, I think my insurance said they're actually going to cover the oxygen. So that's good, because I don't really have money for it. But seeing people sick when you're young, and you're like, oh my God, I can't end up like this. And also, becoming, quotation marks, more healthy, to the point that people might not even realize that I'm sick, right? But, even today when I go for a walk, I got to take multiple breaks. Yesterday, went for a walk for a few hours, but guess what? I wasn't out for a few hours. Probably in that few hours, I probably took half hour, 40 minutes. I just had to sit down randomly over and over again. It's hard being sick, right? I'm actually supposed to go to the doctor tomorrow and oh God, maybe I'm gonna like get scared and not do it. Finally do the TRT, right? Because I'm just so tired. It's just, one of the things that's gotten harder as I've gotten older with being sick is, with the chronic migraines and cluster headaches, they take so long to recover from, and just anything takes longer and longer to recover from. And then after getting long COVID, it's just my fatigue has become so extreme that even going for a walk is such a tremendous workout. um, but it's important to stay healthy. And even when I went out today, and you know again, talking about the TRT, which makes me kind of afraid, because my hair has been looking pretty good. I feel like, considering it's not as good as it was. What was it? It was I feel like my hair looked pretty good. Was it the year before and of Pokemon Go, when my pictures were really being stolen on the internet a lot? I had very blonde looking hair and it looked very thick. I don't know if my hair is like that anymore. Maybe I'm just getting old. It's almost 10 years ago now. Maybe 10 years, 8 years ago now. So I'm just getting older now, but I would like to have hair like that. But again, after getting long COVID, my hair has only finally started to slow down. It feels like 2 years later. And obviously, I am afraid about doing the TRT because I'm insecure enough. But, you know, this is kind of randomly stream of conscious. I feel very lucky from a certain perspective. It's a double edged sword. On one hand, it sucks because people have no idea how bad my health is, how often I'm at the hospital. But on the other hand, I get stopped so often by people who maybe think I'm famous. I've told so many crazy stories in Japan. People that even after I left Japan and I came back, people I'd never talked to. They're like, "Oh my God, you're Disney Prince guy. We never talked to you before, but everyone knows you. You're Disney Prince. Everyone talks about you when they see you in the city. Oh, you're the Final Fantasy guy, right?" And that's flattering. And even in America, I went out today. A real funny story. I couldn't even tell what they were saying. A couple girls came up to me, and I was on my phone, whatever, and then blah, 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 blah. And I was like, "Huh?" And I looked up, and there's girls standing there, and they're like, "Are you a model? Are you like, you look like you're out of a magazine? Blah blah blah." And I was like, "Oh, hey, what's going on?" You know what I mean? So I feel very lucky that this is 20 years ago. You know what I mean? And 20, how many people can say they're lucky enough that people stop them because of how they look? And that kind of stuff does motivate me, that I don't want to die a sick person. Now, of course, I am going to die a sick person because I still have all these health problems, and it's a struggle. Like, I'm doing much worse. Like, even that guy talking to me, that guy, I don't think he realized that I already taken multiple breaks while walking around. I'm so fatigued all the time. It's a struggle to stay healthy, but it shows what you can do despite health circumstances, right? That you got to be the best version of yourself you can be. And so 20 years later, I don't know. Of course, there's other big health moments of my life that I think of. Of course, I mentioned the Pokemon Go thing, and the year before Pokemon Go. The year before Pokemon Go, basically had 4 months where health was taking a turn for the worse again, and I had like 4 months where basically people were taking care of me. At one point, it was getting so bad, and you know, um, still many bad periods. I've had a pretty bad period for, I would say, the past year or so, of quite a bit of long periods of migraines and cluster headaches. And it takes so long to recover from. Like, I told the story a few times on YouTube. I guess maybe it would have been about a month ago now, thinking about it. But I had a cluster headache recently. It took me 14 hours before I could even walk again. It takes a long time as I've gotten older. So maybe, although from a certain perspective, physically, I've been able to sort of fake it. Although I definitely think I definitely, it's not like I said that the Pokemon Go year and the year before that. I mean, man, I was I have some regrets of not being able to take advantage of that, you know. But people had no idea how fucking sick I was actually at that time. But you know, I mean, it just goes to show you, you got to be the best person you can be. You never know what life is going to throw you. Things are still a struggle 20 years later. You know, again, technically 20 years is just, it's kind of like a buzzword. You know, it's actually been longer that on disability since 2003, actually, you know, but, and then I was sick before then, but 2003 is when I realized something was wrong for sure. But, you know, even I go on these trips, you know what I mean? Sometimes even Japan, that past time I was in Japan, what did I do for 6 weeks? Basically nothing. So I was sick pretty much the entire time, right? The time before that, I went to Japan, I had a ton of stomach issues, right? Time before that, I was in Japan. That was kind of a trip from hell. That should have been an amazing trip, but got COVID for the third time that trip, and just I lost thousands of dollars from bad luck. And then, you know, there's the Turkey trip. Got a really bad infection there, and if I get sick, you know, things aren't good. Ended up back in the hospital. Had to come back to America. Oh, you got long COVID after that. So, you know, I don't know. I guess the point is 20 years later, life is still a struggle. But 20 years later, although I was worried that I was going to die and I didn't know how much longer I was going to be alive, and 20 years later, I'm still around, I guess. That's the point of this story. I don't know. Anyway, I was just thinking about that because it's been about 20 years, and I was thinking about the C-diff thing because this is around, you know, well, I guess the picture was there. I don't remember what it said anymore. It was around the end of June to the first week of July. I remember, I think it was when I had C. diff in 2008. So I guess it's been, yeah, about 2008 would be 16 years, but then 20 years for this picture. But anyway, I don't know. Health update. You know, my poop tried to kill me before. Permanent side effects from radiation. I'm still sick as fuck. Thinking about doing that TRT tomorrow. I'm scared. I don't want to lose all my hair. I don't want to have a bunch of side effects. But I don't know what to do. The fatigue is so bad nowadays. That's the health update 20 years later. I don't know. Remember if you like the videos, like, subscribe, comment, share, support the channel if you want. Appreciate it. Thanks. The end.